The God of War that they released on the Vita was the God of War collection. It wasn't an exclusive to the Vita. They were ports. But you know what? You want to be impressed at what the thing can do? Go look up Killzone Mercenaries and go look up gameplay and multiplayer gameplay for that game. It's unbelievable that that's on a handheld. Oh, for sure. But you can go check it out. It looks beyond any of the PS3 Killzones ever did, and the PS3 Killzones were beautiful. And the online play was killer. It was like playing a full console version online multiplayer, and I think it even had 16 players in the servers. It was really good. Yeah, but I will say that most of those are JRPGs, and the games that came out through limited run publishing, strictly limited publishing, these small publishers that published smaller name games from smaller developers. There's a lot of games for the Vita. I wasn't sure if Dead or Alive actually remained one, though. I thought they did something with it on Xbox, but I do remember that coming out on the Vita only. But the other cool thing was, at the time, there was crossplay. So, do you remember PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale? Or PlayStation All Stars? Um, if you played online, like, it was a fighting game. If you could play online with your Vita against people who were playing on PS4. So, same thing with Blaze Blue as well. Blaze Blue was also a one that you could cross-play on. However, playing a fighting game as complex as Blaze Blue on the Vita was not as good as having a regular controller, I would say. I mean, it was okay if you got the controller adapter. Oh man, that's where you made a mistake. The PS3's exclusives were killer, man. You should go back and play them. The parallel processing architecture that the PS3 had made it possible for a lot of games that can't be, well, they can't be played without being reprogrammed anymore. That's why there's no backwards compatibility for PS3. I beg to differ. I have almost a complete collection of PS3, and there's a tremendous amount that is not on 360. In fact, Xbox had so little Japanese support that, I mean, most of the Japanese no, that is not what I'm saying. The PS3's parallel processing architecture cannot be mimicked by a normal PC because the architectures are different. In other words, if you tried to run a PS3 without a PS3 game on PC without reprogramming it, it wouldn't run correctly. There would be problems. Oh, trust me, I have all the exclusives for 360. But the problem was is the Japanese didn't support it because the Japanese people didn't buy the console. So a lot of Japanese companies made a lot of... they didn't call them PS3 exclusives, but they made games that were only for the PS3. It's kind of like... so when the PS3 came out, the parallel processing architecture of it, that basically made it unique and made it to where basically it was like a mini supercomputer. It made it to where you could do calculations exactly at the same time, whereas basically PCs and, well, basically all PC architecture based computers basically ran them in synchronous with the clock, whereas the PS3 didn't have to. But the problem was is that you'd have to redesign the entire game for PS3 and then redesign it for 360. That was the problem. That's why everyone complained about the everyone complained about the sorry, I'm distracted. Everyone was complaining about the amount of work it took to program PS3 games. So, if you try to mimic a PS3 game on a non-parallel processing architecture, those calculations that potentially that ran at the same time, if aren't done at the same time, can cause the game to basically malfunction. To put it simply. I hope that makes sense. But it's just like the PS5 is using the hard drive like it's its own personal cache memory. If you program a game to use a hard drive like cache memory and then just throw it at another computer, a random PC, the game won't run correctly. But it's easier to deal with than a parallel processing architecture. But I kind of wish they would have stuck with the parallel processing of the PS3 and just built upon that. I wish they would have just stuck with it because honestly, it's more efficient than PC architecture, and I wish PC architecture would move toward it. But unfortunately, I don't see it happening. At least not anytime soon. But it is the next step to basically making a computer significantly perform faster than what they currently do. Now, trust me, Microsoft was drawing at straws to try to get Japanese support, but it just didn't happen. I mean, if you look at the history of Japanese sales of the 360, I mean, you can see it in the current sales of the new Xbox. They are not selling. It's public information. You can see it even for current consoles. It's just the Japanese don't want any part of American video games consoles. I mean, for a long time, when I remember when the PS3 and the 360 were going at it strong, yeah, the only places it was selling was America and Europe, and in Japan was. I mean, it was so sad that apparently what ended up happening is that retailers just stopped selling them altogether, and you'd see numbers like they sold 1,000 units in 2 weeks. And they were basically, 2,000 units a month, whereas they're selling hundreds of thousands of units. Well, they're selling thousands of units outsold. Oh yeah, well the Wii was really big. The Wii had crazy publicity, and the DS was killed everything. I mean, the PSP was very successful, but the DS was just, I mean, it was the DS. But in Japan, the PSP kept up pretty well with the DS. If you check the numbers for it. But over here, the DS was like what 360 looked like over in Japan. It was sad. It just petered out. No, the PS3 sales overtook 360 by millions. Or at least it should have. And you know what's also ridiculous is that the 360 had a whole year head start. Well, honestly, I think that has a lot to do with a lot of people still were playing their PS2s for a very long time. Because they didn't make the last PS2 game until almost when the PS3 was nearing the end of its life cycle. I think the PS2 ended up, they still produced games 14 years into its life until the final one was made, and I think it was a FIFA game and it was the last one. Well, I mean, it had like 4,000 games, so The Dreamcast was different, though. The Dreamcast came out well before the PS2, but the Dreamcast was very easy to make games for. Like, you could make one in your house. There was no digital signing to the discs, so you could literally just make your own games. Because they made it pre-CD burner technology. You could literally just print your own discs. Yeah, well, the PS3 did sell more than the 360, even though it had a whole year head start. But the PS3 was very hard to make games for. So that also had it against it. But I think this generation, I think the Switch is going to blow past literally even PS2. Because PS2 still outdoes everything. DS, PS4, all of it. There hasn't been a more successful system than the PS2, but I think the Switch might take that spot if things keep going the way they're going. Especially since they had they made it really easy to publish games on the Switch. The Saturn was hard to make games for, and it did stop the developers, and it did fail. There's very few Saturn games comparatively. However, I wish we would have got the library of the Sega Saturn in Japan. They have, for every one game we have, they have another 10. And there was no censorship on any Sega Saturn game. They had some crazy games in Japan. It feels like it's a lot more. But, because I have so many of them. And it's just... Well, the Japanese people bought the Sega systems, and it just didn't do well over here. So the life cycle over there was a lot longer than here. But it was like one of the first times you could really get you could play an RPG with voiceovers. I mean, it was great. It was such a great time for games. Yeah, that and cinematic cutscenes and the visuals are really nice on it. I remember No More Heroes was a big deal, but I think it was just what was it? I never even had a chance to play it, but I remember everyone being stoked about it. I don't remember what it was, but I thought it had motion controls. Oh yeah, I know about the Sega Saturn disc rot. Dreamcast does the same thing. My games are okay. It comes from moisture. We keep the humidity controlled for just that reason, because we got some big heavy hitters in here. There's a lot of games here. Yep. I think we have like 70% of the Sega CD titles as well. But honestly, to get disc rot, you really got to put it in a basement or an attic for extended periods of years, honestly, to really get that to go. It'll also ruin the manuals too. Yeah, we have Shining Force 3. But we also have a couple of copies of Albert Odyssey and Magical Knight Rayearth, or Magic Knight Rayearth. Magic Knight Rayearth is so good. Oh, I'm not sure if I was muted. Yeah, I have Shining Force 3, and we have Magical Knight Rayearth and Albert Odyssey and all those. How come you don't have any Dreamcast or Saturn games? I mean, Sega CD was good, but Saturn's where it's at. I mean, I will admit Sega Saturn's really expensive to collect for. You got to have deep pockets to collect it for it, and Sega CD's getting there. Yeah, and Dreamcast. Now that I think about it. But Sega Saturn started it. I think everyone has a modded Saturn that has a Saturn. But if you do have a Saturn, the best way to play it, man, if you don't have if you are interested in it, get a SCART cable for it. It is to a SCART to HDMI converter box. It is so beautiful. Nice. Have you played through the Dot Hack series? those games were good. Man, I got all 4 volumes of the Dot Hack series. I bought them as they were released on PS2. And Persona 1 and 2 are really expensive. Really expensive. Don't just forget about it. Dot Hack 1 through 4, I bought them as they were released, and when I got halfway through volume 3, or was it 2? I don't remember. I think it was 3. My memory card corrupted and I lost all my save data because the game's built off of one to the next. And I was just like, screw it. I'm not going to continue. But I mean, it was so good. I really wish they'd remake those ones. I didn't really. The GU ones are great, but those 4 main ones, oh, they were so good. And I've got a couple copies of Rule of Rose here, and some Haunting Ground. All the Xenosagas, of course, as well. I haven't played Rule of Rose though. There's a lot of heavy hitters I got here that I haven't popped in yet. They're on my list, but everyone told me I need to play this, and this has been on my list a while to play. And this game is phenomenal. But I think the rarest game in my collection is NBA Elite 2011. Oh, you got some hard ones to get. Well, the harder ones are out of the way for you, though, for Sega CD. I mean, there's still a couple, but those are some hard ones. I'd like to complete my 32X collection. I'm looking for the Spider-Man game in box. I can't even find the damn cartridge, but I want it in the box. Fuck, it's impossible to find. Every once in a while, one will show up on eBay or something. but I always miss it. What DS games are you looking for? Yeah, my DS collection's, I don't know. I think I only have like 200 games in it. It's pretty weak. I bought a bunch of the ones that I thought were going to be rare and just put them on the shelf. And we got a couple factory sealed versions of, you know, like the Pokemon games and stuff like that that I just wanted to hold on to. Half of my PS3 collection is factory sealed too. In the business that I'm in, it's pretty easy for me to find most games, so it's more fun to find them when they're factory sealed. We've been doing that since like 2006. We started with PS2 games and Xbox games. Yeah, 999 was a really good game. I did make it a point to play 999 because Virtue's Last Reward was really good on the Vita, so I went back and played 999. PS1's getting expensive to collect for. And I heard you don't have Persona 1 and 2, and do you have Silent Hill? Suikoden 2 and all those. Oh, that's hilarious. I was actually going to ask, I was going to make a joke and ask if you had Pepsi Man. But, yeah, I'm missing a couple on my PS3 one. I'm still missing a couple really hard to get ones like Tokyo Jungle. That's a tough one to get. Oh, I bet you never played Tokyo Jungle. It was a weird idea for a game. Yeah, same here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have all the half the games I have now. Believe it or not, it was cheaper to buy them all when they were new. And after a while, you kind of get good at figuring out which ones are going to be, hard to get. It's always the ones that are really good but had limited print quantities. Yeah. And then PlayStation collectors came out of the woodwork, and now collecting PlayStations like collecting Nintendo. COVID added a huge jump to the collecting community too. Added a huge jump in all prices across the board. And now, like, games that were $100 are now $300. Yeah, you know what? I think that's what I got my Lunars for. I don't even know what they're worth now, but I bet you they're, like, I wouldn't even dream of buying it right now. It would just make me sick. Oh well, PS2 games jumped too. They all did. During COVID. They're not at the level of PS1 though, but I remember during COVID, the peak COVID, Silent Hill 4 was like almost $200, where it was a $40 game forever. But like, yeah, exactly. And you know the Jak and Daxter games, they haven't gone up on the PS2 really either. I mean, they went up a little bit, but like the Jak and Daxter HD collection, like on the Vita, is really expensive. And I think it is on PS3 too. I haven't looked in a while.